OTM Strategic Conversations were founded upon the process created by Juanita Brown and David Isaacs called the World Cafe back in the 1990s. And I was exposed to my first World Cafe at a conference in San Diego in the year 2000. I remember walking into the auditorium, which was set up for 1,100 people, and there were small tables. It was like a really large, massive in fact, cafe. All the tables had the red and white checkered tablecloths. There was a vase in the middle with some flowers and some table settings for 4 people per table, some writing material and some pens, etc., so that we could take notes. And Daniel Kim, the host, came up to the stage and told us that we were about to engage in a conversation with the 1,100 people. And the Australian in me said, "Yeah, right, Daniel, that's not going to happen." Well, it did. And it did because of the methodology of the World Cafe process. The way the process works is everyone's sitting in small tables, as you've already heard. As the questions get posed, you sit there and you respond to the question and you write down and doodle and draw anything you possibly can to record the conversation as you see fit. After a period of time, we ask one person to act as a host at that particular table. As the host, everyone else gets up and leaves and a new group of people come and join the table, and the host will explain the conversation. What happens next is then the other people then contribute their aspect on that particular question, and people are often amazed at how much they find similar with regard to the conversations that they've been having, as well as what the differences are between the conversations, and that's the power of the process.
Really providing something more strategic for the organisation, and Peter spoke about that in the context of some of the higher level training within Crown.
What's also important with this particular process is that you'll notice that it's the ideas that matter to people. It's not who says them. And over time, a high quality idea is what then gets shared at the town hall component, where we stop the conversations and listen to the themes that everyone presents. This is really important for senior people in organisations to be able to openly share their thoughts and feelings without the fear of people saying, well, that's not a good idea just because it came from a senior person. Rather, the opposite occurs. If it's a good idea, people will take it on board and it will become their idea. That's one of the powerful aspects of a strategic conversation. As you can see through this footage, people are engaging in the conversation. Look at their body language, look at the gestures that they're using. People are able to talk about the issues that matter to them or the questions that matter to them. You'll notice that people are doodling and drawing, and on some occasions people even get up and write on the whiteboard that we're using to record the town hall component. So people find it very easy to engage in the questions. Often you might find that people sit pondering the question to start with, so often we don't go straight into a noisy room. But as people are looking at the question, as you can see here again, they're looking up at the question, they're making sense of the question, and then they turn to each other and they start to engage in their conversation about what that question means to them, and they start to record their conversation. And again, you can see through this footage how people are really engaging with each other. They in fact become oblivious of the other conversations that are occurring. The setting for strategic conversations is very, very important. It's important to have refreshments available and food. We want to make this as normal an environment as possible, which is why the natural light and the food and the ambience of the setting that we use is absolutely critical to a strategic conversation and the success that we're aiming to achieve through that process. Those neutral environments seem to be really powerful in enabling people to engage with each other in ways that maybe in the workplace, their normal workplace setting, they find a little bit more difficult to do so. So what happens to the information that's captured from an OTM strategic conversation? Well, we create a storybook for you which details the process that we've gone through and captures each of the town hall components for each of the questions that we've asked. So as a takeaway, you have this document that you can share with everyone that was present at the conversation that's very clear about what we've agreed our future looks like, what are the challenges we're working towards, and what are the actions we're going to take over an agreed period of time. Often what happens is that this output goes away to an executive team for approval, and that at the strategic conversation itself, the senior members of that executive team would announce the time frame with which they expect to take to get back to everyone who was present. That's a fairly normal process that we go through.
In true partnering, this metaphor of the rally car is that if the car crashes, you both get hurt.
One of the most powerful benefits of a strategic conversation is that it places the people involved in the conversation on centre stage. Not the facilitator, not a presenter, it places them on stage. And people consistently report to me that they are amazed at how quickly the time went by. Well, the answer is quite simple as to why that occurs. It's because they were involved in the work. As you can see, once again, people are deeply engaged. Their body language tells you that they're engaged with these conversations because we've done the work beforehand to work out what are the questions that matter to these people.
So I'm asking you to look for what are the themes that you're picking up across the 3 rounds of conversations that we have. So we've got the trust again, we've got the open again, we've got respectful. I think that's the first time we've heard that term so